Hi, my name is Oswald Sobrino, and this is a book video on my book, 5 Lessons from the Austrian Philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein. And he's a very important philosopher in the 20th century who died in 1951 and is very, I guess, trendy in a way. He's very popular. He's very quote unquote cool philosopher to become familiar with, although it's hard to become familiar with him because he can be very obscure. Let me read some remarks from my introduction to give you a taste of the book. To write anything on the famous 20th century Austrian philosopher of language Ludwig Wittgenstein, whose dates are 1889 to 1951, who was closely associated with Cambridge University in England, is a challenge. You cannot read one source about Wittgenstein because, as one authority put it, his, quote, writings are numerous, complicated, and obscure, close quote. Hence, you must certainly, without any doubt whatsoever, go well beyond my short book on Wittgenstein. An additional complication is that scholars speak about Wittgenstein's earlier philosophy and later philosophy, since later in life he rejected as mistaken his famous early work with the forbidding title Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus in Latin, published in 1922. The title was published in Latin, not the text. Although these scholars will also point to continuities between Wittgenstein's early philosophy in the Tractatus, which he later rejected, and his later philosophy. My short book focuses on Wittgenstein's later philosophy as embodied, for the most part, in his work entitled Philosophical Investigations. Philosophical Investigations was published after his death in 1951. Given the obscurity of Wittgenstein's writings, my commentary is just that, my impressions of what I find valuable in his often opaque remarks and sayings. I make no pretense of revealing what was in his head as he wrote. No more, no less. You can find my suggested reading on Wittgenstein in the section of the book entitled Abbreviations and References. Let me jump to another part of the introduction where I actually talk about the content of my book. The plan of this book is to consider the following topics from the later philosophy of Ludwig Wittgenstein. Number one, the topic of language games. And I draw on his work called Philosophical Grammar and on his work Philosophical Investigations. 2, meaning as use of a word. Here I draw on his work published as the Blue and Brown books, which anticipated Philosophical Investigations. 3, thinking and the ghost in the machine. Number 4, understanding a rule or series. And chapter 5, my chapter 5, philosophy as description of language. All the topics on thinking and the ghost in the machine, understanding a rule or series, philosophy as description of language, those 3 topics are all based on the Philosophical Investigations. So Ludwig Wittgenstein, very interesting, very contemporary, although he died in 1951, very interesting biography, like as is the case with most philosophers. So this is a good introduction to him, but there's so much more because he is challenging to understand. Thank you.